Weaving Through Time by UT. In a small town nestled between rolling hills and bustling streets, three girls grew up together. They were inseparable despite their vastly different backgrounds. There was Amina, the daughter of wealthy parents who owned a successful business empire. Her life was one of privilege, expensive clothes, private tutors, and endless opportunities. Then there was D.C.A. from a middle-class family. Her parents worked hard to provide for her education, instilling values of discipline and perseverance. And finally there was Chinaza, raised in poverty by a single mother struggling to make ends meet. Despite their differences, they shared laughter, dreams, and countless adventures during their childhood. As teenagers, however, things began to change. High school brought new pressures, and peer influence started pulling them in directions neither of them had anticipated. By senior year, all three were caught up in reckless behavior, smoking, drinking, partying, and engaging in casual relationships. Their once promising futures seemed clouded by poor choices. After graduation, without clear plans or guidance, they drifted further into self-destructive habits. For 2 long years they lived aimlessly, following boys and chasing fleeting pleasures. But deep down, each girl harbored hopes for something more. When university admissions came around, it felt like a lifeline. All three managed to secure spots at the same prestigious institution, though their paths would soon diverge dramatically. At first, they tried to stay close, reminiscing about old times and supporting each other through the transition. However, as they mingled with new crowds, their priorities shifted. Amina befriended ambitious students who encouraged her to focus on academics and personal growth. Inspired by their drive, she turned her life around, leaving behind her wild past. She excelled in her studies, discovering a passion for art history and design. D.C.A. also found herself among peers who valued education and responsibility. Encouraged by professors and mentors, she rediscovered her love for teaching and dedicated herself to becoming an educator. Alongside her studies, she volunteered at local schools, finding joy in helping others. Chinaza, however, struggled to adapt. She resented what she perceived as unfair advantages held by others, especially Amina. Instead of focusing on her studies, she sought validation through material possessions and attention. She joined a group of friends who glorified extravagance and indulgence, spending money she didn't have and making decisions that only deepened her financial troubles. Determined to outshine her former friends, she pursued superficial success, flaunting expensive outfits and flashy social media posts. Despite her outward confidence, Chinaza often felt insecure. During group study sessions, she would secretly glance at Amina's notes, marveling at how neatly organized they were. "You should take notes like Amina," D.C.A. once teased gently. Chinaza shot back, "I don't need notes, I already know everything." But later that night, alone in her dorm room, she copied Amina's methods, hoping no one would notice. Throughout her university years, Chinaza encountered several men who genuinely cared for her. There was Kofi, a quiet engineering student who admired her intelligence and wit. He invited her to coffee dates and asked thoughtful questions about her dreams. One evening he confessed his feelings. "Chinaza, I think you're incredible," he said softly. "Would you consider giving us a chance?" But Chinaza scoffed. "Kofi, you're too serious. Life isn't about settling down, it's about living big." She walked away, leaving him hurt and confused. Years later, she learned he had married someone else, a woman who appreciated his kindness and stability. Then there was Daniel, a charismatic law student whose charm swept many women off their feet. Unlike Kofi, Daniel was loud and flashy, matching Chinaza's energy perfectly. They partied together, traveled together, and spent countless nights talking about their ambitions. For a while it seemed like they might build something real. But when Daniel proposed marriage, Chinaza hesitated. "Marriage? That's boring," she joked, brushing off his proposal. Within months, Daniel moved abroad, leaving Chinaza heartbroken but unwilling to admit it. Each time, Amina and D.C.A. tried to offer advice. "Chinaza, maybe you should slow down and think about what you really want," Amina suggested during a rare lunch together. "You're letting good people slip through your fingers because you're chasing empty thrills." "I'm fine," Chinaza snapped, crossing her arms defensively. "You wouldn't understand. My life is different from yours." D.C.A. chimed in, "We just want to see you happy, Chinaza. Don't let pride get in the way of love." But Chinaza refused to listen. In her mind, happiness meant being the center of attention, the queen of every room she entered. Love to her was secondary, or perhaps irrelevant altogether. Years passed, and the trio's lives took distinct trajectories. Amina married a kind-hearted man from a well-respected family. Together they built a loving home filled with warmth and stability. Though she gave up her career aspirations to become a homemaker, she embraced this role wholeheartedly, cherishing the time spent raising her children and nurturing her family. D.C.A achieved her dream of becoming a lecturer, inspiring young minds with her knowledge and compassion. She met her husband while attending a professional conference. He shared her values and supported her ambitions. They started a family together, balancing work and parenthood with grace. Chinaza, however, faced numerous challenges. Her inability to respect men stemmed from her upbringing and unresolved insecurities. Relationships crumbled under her constant need for control and comparison. When she became pregnant unexpectedly, she chose to raise the child alone, believing no man deserved her trust. Despite her outward confidence, she often felt lonely and empty, longing for the camaraderie and support she once shared with Amina and D.C.A. Years later, fate brought the three friends together again at a mutual acquaintance's wedding. Initially awkward, their conversation eventually flowed naturally as if no time had passed. Amina spoke glowingly about her family, sharing stories of her children and the simple joys of homemaking. D.C.A talked enthusiastically about her career and her growing family, expressing gratitude for the blessings in her life. Chinaza listened quietly, her heart heavy with regret. As the night wore on, she confided in her friends, admitting how lost she felt. Tears welled in her eyes as she confessed, "I've been so focused on proving myself, on showing everyone I can be just as good as anyone else, that I forgot what truly matters, a family that loves and supports me." Amina placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "It's never too late to change, Chinaza. We're here for you just like we always have been." D.C.A nodded in agreement. "We'll help you find your way back step by step." For the first time in years, Chinaza allowed herself to believe them. In that moment, surrounded by her oldest friends, she realized that true fulfillment wasn't about outshining others. It was about embracing love, connection, and purpose.